Thank you, Dr. Tam and Jeannie, for the valuable insights. Next, we focus on a whole new world of postgraduate studies, MSc versus MBA, which is the right choice for your career. Dr. Richard Chua and Mr. Isaac Joshua will elaborate further on this topic. Over to you, please.
Hello everybody, welcome back, and I hope that you have been enjoying yourself thus far. I have all our wonderful talks and programs and information given to you. Earlier on, for A-level graduates, my colleagues have shared with you how do you go about choosing a wonderful program and the right program for yourself for undergraduate studies. And now Isaac and I is back again to share with all the working adults and those who have already graduated from your degree program, and for those who are working right now thinking of improving yourself, and also thinking about how do you go about progressing in your career. So therefore today we're going to share with you a little bit and also to have a conversation about the difference between MSc and MBA.
That's right. Thank you once again for being here with us. And so very quickly, let's start with, postgraduate certs in general. And so I'm referring to an MBA or MSc. Now, globally, we have about 3,000 similar programs offered everywhere, and more than 800,000 prospective students who apply for such program each year. In fact, in your school, every year we see quite a number of students as well applying for this program.
Yeah.
And a lot of them do so for either a career change or a career acceleration.
It seems like you have reached a point, right? It's like a kind of a maturity time, a good time whereby you feel that you have really worked so much and you have gained so much experience at work, and you know all the processes and everything else, but you want to kind of get out from that operational side of things to move into management, right? And also thinking that maybe one day I could have a more macro view, a helicopter view of all the operations in a company, so that I am able to kind of lead my department forward, or also to have career progression. Yeah.
That's right. And according to a recent Bloomberg report on Business Week, more than half of these MBA graduates enter a new industry.
Because they have got a new training, right? Once you go through an MBA or MSc program, then you will have that new tools, right? And also new knowledge and capabilities to be able to enter a new industry.
That's right.
Because when we look across all, right, different industries, MBA, for example, is very useful for all industries, because every industry, there will be a management component. There will be business administration. So in fact, even like in pharmaceutical companies, how do we go about leading a pharmaceutical company? How do you go about managing the supply chain of vaccines, for example, and in terms of distribution? All these things not just require the technical knowledge. The technical knowledge is very important because the vaccine must be safe, must be well tested, and everything else. But not forgetting that, how do we go about distributing all these vaccines to different parts of the world? And most importantly, how about the cost considerations? How about how do you go about managing the cost versus the pricing that you need to make? Because we have got internal and external stakeholders to answer to as well, right?
That's right. And internally, for some of the companies, an MBA becomes a requirement, to progress further internally. So here we are today to assist you with what is an MBA, the difference between, each one of them, an MBA and a MSc.
Yeah. Depending on the awarding university and the type of MBA, you will study advanced modules in subjects such as banking and finance. In my school's case, we have got MBA in business and finance, accounting and marketing, project management, supply chain management, as I mentioned earlier, human resource management, leadership and innovation. You look at all these areas. These areas are very fundamental, because they provide that fundamental knowledge that you need to run any effective company.
That's right.
Finance, definitely very important.
Yes.
Accounting, making sure that your accounts are in place and be able to juggle financial and managerial costs. And also project management, like
Yes.
supply chain, as I mentioned earlier. Human resource, so important because you need to develop your people, make sure you
right.
motivate them, give them the right kind of compensation packages, and also, most importantly, innovation. Because once you are in leadership position, it's no longer about operation. It's really about maybe changing the whole operational model in order to bring about new form of business making, how do you go about administering your company.
That's right.
And the knowledge is typically gathered from a wide variety of case studies, and that is actually the asset. Because once our MBA program start, there will be a lot of little assignments, case studies that comes up. And not forgetting that most of our students are all working adults, and they are
Yes.
also professionals in their own right. So they can bring into the classroom a lot of rich cases for the class to discuss. And all these cases are real life cases.
That's right.
Yeah, real life problems, real life challenges that we see at the moment in time. So every time when I sit into an MBA class as an observer, I'm learned a lot as well. Because at the end of the day, I get to see all kinds of things beyond what we do in academia, in real life, in real cases, and that's the beauty of it. And all these cases all contribute to the research dissertation.
That's right.
And different universities offer different kinds of MBA programs, and also they also have different modes of study, ranging from a very typical 1 to 2 year duration, either full-time or part-time basis. So you have a choice of what to do. You can do it full-time. Like for example, you want to take a little break from your work, really some me time learning, do it full-time. If you are someone who wants to have a more in touch with your company and cases and challenges that you see, and you want to learn something in order to apply onto your real life cases in your company, then a part-time mode will be a more suitable one for you. So each MBA program has its own requirements in terms of the admission standards, so you can always refer to our website to be able to know that what exactly are the different requirements.
Yeah, that's right. Now, one of the other things I'd like to mention about, being involved in MBA classes, also the networking that is done within each other, as you learn about each other's industry and how things are done, and so much to gain from that.
Yep.
Now, in addition, MBA graduates are generally highly competitive and very much sought after among employers, and are suitable for individuals with strong business acumen. Now, the skills acquired from studying an MBA certainly benefit many to become, like you mentioned earlier, senior leaders, to accelerate their career, to move into perhaps even a new sector, and run various organizations, manage various resources, whether internal or external, and ultimately, like you also mentioned, to lead. And that is a big word today, especially considering the climate that we are in.
Yeah, most importantly, you need to know your own passion. You must also know what you're good at. Because I think when we are already working in the companies as professionals, we will know our strengths and weaknesses. We have to really look at it honestly, and also to appreciate our skills and things that we can do. Right? Like for example, if you're someone who has good insight, you're someone who is able to see through all the problems, to be able to highlight the fundamental problems. And in order to solve those fundamental problems, you need to find new solutions. So if you have this kind of discoveries, spirit of discovery, right? And you would be able to take on an MBA program.
Yes, and since an MBA qualification, is widely recognized, for those of us looking to migrate even to a different country in the future, like here, we have so many international learners from everywhere joining us. It will certainly be beneficial and valuable in securing jobs and opportunities, especially for the new normal, or so they call it now.
Yeah, culturally, it is a very important thing, because intercultural collaboration and also multicultural environment allows us to really to be able to learn from each other, right? Learning from each other, and that's very, very important, because
Yes.
once we learn from each other, then we'll be able to really understand how is it like. Let me introduce some of our own MBA programs in the School of Business and Social Sciences that actually serve this purpose. Now, the University of Sunderland General MBA, it's it's our most popular program because that program in itself focuses on how students can actually look at cases from their own from their own experiences. And what we do is that we teach them all the research methods in order to do this kind of investigation into those problems. And we have got 2 tracks, which is that we have human resource management, supply chain management, which are really important right now because now is the time that we need to really how to go about motivating your own staff, your colleagues, and also about supply chain logistics. How do you ship manage goods and services, and how do you get these goods and services to your customers, not just B2B, but also B2C, right? Business to consumers. And also in our Bangor University MBA program, they are more specific, right, into the banking and finance and international marketing. These 2 areas for our students is important because they come from the banking industry, and the banking industry needs a really new way of looking at things, right? Like for example, now with in Singapore with Smart Nation initiative, where monies and fintech is totally going in a different direction. So therefore, new knowledge is needed to how to go about managing the flow of monies and also in terms of financial products and everything else. And international marketing, well, let alone, right? This specialization says it for itself. It's really about how do you go about communicating and marketing, all your products and brands to the different consumers around the world. It's not just about fitting the local market now because you have so many e-commerce platforms, you have got online shopping going on and everything else. So the language and everything else, and how do you go about managing these projects online is really the key. So for Bangor University, the MBAs kind of cover that area. For Edinburgh Napier University and also our University of Central Oklahoma, those both are e-learning platforms where you can do it online. And these MBAs are really for those who are already working, the professionals, and you want to do your course. It's just like when you're working in the daytime, in your work, and you encounter problems, or you feel that there is something that you can discover and all that, you can always fall back to whatever things that you learn. You can go back and refer to notes that you have online, right, on the platform, to be able to see how these knowledge can actually be applied into a real-world situation. So the application skills here is very important, especially for students for MBA, for our Edinburgh Napier University programs in 2 tracks, leadership and innovation, as well as marketing. And lastly, our online MBA with the University of Central Oklahoma from the United States of America. In itself, it provides an opportunity for students to network, providing students an opportunity to be able to meet all these business professionals, communities, in not just in the United States, but also through MDIS, our collaboration and also activities, we are also able to, hook up and also to try to establish, links with our local companies. Local companies that have proven successful, and also most importantly is to learn how maybe local companies are able to step out, to the region and to international through their expansion plans, or even how they go about introducing, a really cultural specific local product into regional and international markets.
Well said, Richard. Now let's take a look at some of the, let's start off by looking at MSc right now. And then we're going to have a look at some of the MSc programs which are offered in MDIS. Now, commonly the Master of Science courses are also, very much like MBA, either full-time or part-time. And both options, they usually include writing a research component or thesis. It's normally awarded, to candidates who have demonstrated a high-level capability and proficiency at an advanced stage of a specialized field of knowledge. And this is the thing to take note of. A lot of MSCs, or in fact most of them, in fact guide you in specializing in that area. And eventually, if you want to take it further, all right, it helps you on a pathway towards a doctorate degree.
You're totally right. All these individuals with MSc degrees are deemed to be experts and specialists in their own specific fields, making it an excellent option for people who look to switch careers or go in depth towards a specialized subject For example, if you are in biomedical sciences or biotechnology, most of the programs are MSc. Why is it so? Because in order to perform optimally in those industries, you really need to have the knowledge, in-depth knowledge, and also able to, there'll be a lot of research, right, contributing to new knowledge in this world. And also, if you go on to a doctorate degree or a PhD for that matter, you will start to see that contribution and knowledge is very important. So it is a bit different from MBA in that sense, where MBA allows to facilitate the environment, facilitate the situation in order for things to move, right? And that in itself is an art. Right? While MSc is sort of like the science of it, where you will need to have all the technical knowledge and also the expert in the area. So for MSc graduates, yes, they are all deemed as experts in that area in a very specific field where you are actually contributing knowledge to one specific field.
That's right. Now let's take a look at some of the MSc programs offered by MDIS. So in MDIS, we have the Master of Science, Tourism and Hospitality, and that's from my school, University of Sunderland. And like you rightly said, yes, it's a very research-based. It focuses, on that tourism and hospitality industry, and all the case studies and everything, relevant to that module is based on that industry.
Because you need specific skills for that, right?
That's right. And we also have the project management from Sunderland. We also offer the healthcare management from Northumbria University. We have the cybersecurity from Teesside, and I believe we have the health and safety from Leeds Beckett.
Yes.
So these are some of the programs that we offer in MDIS. Now let's take a look at the difference between both MSc and MBA.
So for MBA, MSc, you can see from here that they have very clear distinctions, with wide-ranging and far-reaching implications that affect your chosen career path. Because for MBA, as I said earlier, it is really about general in nature, but general, able to cover a lot of subject areas. And these subject areas need a kind of a macro or helicopter view to be able to coordinate all these things together. It is like a conductor in an orchestra. Right? A conductor in an orchestra knows every single instrument, knows every single note, and all the sounds that have been produced by the different instruments. So a conductor might not be someone who is proficient in playing one particular instrument, but the conductor is someone who is able to understand and also to hear the whole sound that comes together, and most importantly, to achieve harmony. So for MBA graduates, once you go into a company, you are doing that harmonious flow, in that particular company, and also coordinating all the different experts in the area to make sure that the whole company works as a team together. And that's very, very different from MSc, because MSc is someone who is very good and expert in your knowledge in that area. So, and that gives us a lot of confidence, gives us a lot of reassurance that this thing is well researched, evidence driven, and also that in itself is going to be a very effective product. For example, a vaccine is a life-saving product.
That's right. Now, speaking from my personal experience, in fact, I did in my mid-30s my MBA, and you're right, it gave me a very nice view of all the different general modules out there, and got me in many ways prepared for my career acceleration. And then for my second master's, I moved into a Master of Science, and that was to focus entirely on education, training, and development. And really, it came in so handy, because the MBA is a good start-off point, because it introduces you to all the relevant concepts and fundamentals. So now let's have a look at some of the...
That is actually the optimum. I just want to add this, because at the end of the day, once you have an MBA program, once you have an MBA qualification, you're able to manage everything. Once you have an MSc qualification, then you're able to zoom in on the knowledge.
That's
so
right.
You actually can use both sides of it, and balance it up. You'll be a very effective and also very efficient manager.
Well said, Richard. So for MSc, the differences are like we have been, talking all this while, is the specialization. You cover specialized or specific subject area. And like I mentioned, for my second master's, I moved into education. And so likewise, whether it's for your first or second, it doesn't matter. It helps you to go in depth, all right? Or in fact, or even for those who are switching careers right now, moving to another industry and intend to settle there, this MSc comes in very handy because it covers the entire depth of that industry. And also it's used to gain technical skills, right? So now let's look at some of the career opportunities.
In many organizations, in fact all organizations, I would say, require specialists with MSc. Because in every organization there will be skills. For example, in a school, you need to have good teachers.
Yep.
So therefore, education technology, right? Education strategies and also leadership, educational leadership. These are very important areas that MSc graduates will be able to contribute. And that is important because that will allow for the R&D process within the company to bring about a certain kind of breakthrough and achieve good results. On the other hand, organizations also rely on MBA holders to be able to oversee, right, and to plan long-term goals, fix problems, and also drive the business forward. While the MBA holders are able to do that, what they're doing actually is to create a conducive business environment, and also to chart long-term directions for the company, so that all the MSc holders, all experts, will be able to say, we just focus to work on our wonderful product, and we know that this product is going to have relevance, because at the end of the day, whatever things that we are producing is actually working under the pretext of a long-term strategy set down by MBA holders. So you see, there is this kind of relationship, that comes together in every organization. So there's always a place for an MBA holder, and there's also a place for an MSc holder.
That's right. Now,
and an MBA graduate can work in leadership roles, right? And as I said earlier, and the employment opportunities are great. Like we have got investment banking, finance, private equity, consulting. Roles for MBA graduates in traditional business functions also include sales, marketing, business development, operations, among others.
And yes, just to add on, an MSc now, in fact, on the other hand, is relevant in the operations of specific tasks depending on the fields of study, ranging from laboratory science or medicine or information systems, and not forgetting, of course, our school, tourism and hospitality, and roles that require an in-depth knowledge. Right? So that's the highlight of MSc, in-depth knowledge of a specific subject matter. Now let's take a look at what are the entry qualifications like for each.
To study an MBA, first, having a work experience is a valuable quality. The admission process, will evaluate, the work experience and will be able to see what are the areas that you have got, and also in terms of your exposure to work before admission. So once you are admitted in the program, the lecturers would know you better to be able to offer training, a more personalized training for you. Now, many MBA programs don't specify the course that you should study, as an undergraduate to be accepted, because as you can see, every discipline of an undergraduate degree would be useful. Why so? Is because you have already completed your undergraduate degree and you have got the knowledge for that specific discipline in the undergraduate degree. And when you go to an MBA program, the MBA courses will help to manage your skills. You'll be able to kind of put them together, coordinate the skills that you have learned in order to apply it towards a more leadership function. So you're able to see a broader picture. So hence, prior qualifications is not necessary. Not necessarily you have to be in finance or business related and all that. You can always try and apply for an MBA program. And if you don't have a bachelor degree, you can still be suitable if you can demonstrate a certain degree of work experience. because we value, your experience.
That's
So
right.
therefore, if you're in a senior role in a company and don't have formal education, academic background, in this case, you can also be considered. Yeah. Based on academic judgment, what we do in our schools is that we evaluate the portfolio, because we want to know what have you been doing, what are projects that have been working on, and the contributions, and these are things that we can actually consider when we admit students into the MBA programs.
No, that's right. Now, unlike an MBA, MSc course will generally require an undergraduate degree in a relevant or similar subject. And this applies to most of the schools that we have come across. You could be accepted by also demonstrating your interest with work experience in a related field. However, you may need to check with the admission department of that college or uni to find out if your qualifications are deemed acceptable. Now, let's move on to find out, which path to take. I think it's quite a tough choice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because in order to make this decision, you really need to know yourself. You need to know your passion and also what you're good at, right? So again, a very important question is, what direction do you want to in your life? And also, what exactly are your aptitudes? And also in terms of your strengths. And also you have to recognize your weaknesses. So once you are able to answer those questions and you know that exactly what you can or cannot do and what exactly, the so-called aptitude required to do that. Like for example, for myself, I'm quite driven. I'm also someone who is able to see many different things at a macro level, and I would want all these things to work together. And when I see a certain blockage in certain problems, I will try to find ways to unblock those blockages. So if in that case, I'm more suitable for MBA, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at larger issues on how do we go about putting all these different puzzles together to see a complete whole. So if you're someone who is like me, then an MBA program will be more suitable for you. Yeah. So this is very, very important. And also in your professional goal, in the long run, where are you going? What exactly do you want to do? Do you want to work within a business or in an entrepreneurship sector? MBA will be much more suitable, and it's a right fit for you.
That's right. But if you are not business or management oriented, and what you desire is in-depth knowledge about a particular area of study, like I mentioned earlier on, I wanted to move in training and education, or you're interested in research in a certain subject, or you want to specialize, generally in a discipline, then you should consider the MSc degree. Now, if you desire, again, a focus on a particular profession as your core passion and work in a sector relevant to that profession or conduct research in that area, again, you can consider the MSc. But if you want to learn management and leadership skills, like what you mentioned, Richard, learn the strategies involved in managing people and how to make progressive, logical decision in a business, then the MBA is more suitable. Next, let's look at some questions to ponder before arriving at this decision.
Now, these questions are important questions, and you can use them to reflect on whether you're sure or unsure about which course to choose. Number one, do you have the required work experience needed to apply for an MBA? Right? Question two, are you ready to make significant investments for an MBA degree? Not just money, right? And also your personal time and also efforts to go about doing it.
That's right.
Since many MBA courses are expensive, especially in reputable schools, and also they are quite academically rigorous, that you need to put in a lot of effort. And the next question is, do you think that you want to abandon your technical and professional skills for business management skills? Right? Now, if you are someone who loves what you do in your own technical area, then an MSc is something more suitable. But if you feel that you have got the knowledge already in your technical areas and you have your professional skills all in place, and you want to really marry and put everything together to coordinate things at the larger level, at a more macro level, then the MBA will be more suitable. And are you enthusiastic to get into research? If yes, then an MSc degree is the best for you. When we talk about research, we're talking about contributions, in terms of technical knowledge and also the contributing knowledge. I think that's very important. For MBA courses generally are more applied research, whereby you will find the solutions through theories and through your experiences to be able to apply to specific business problems in your company. All right?
That's right.
So remember, each and every course has its own benefits, and the world needs all kinds of everyone in all professions in order to continue. Okay, so we need agricultural scientists as well as financial analysts, and most importantly, entrepreneurs to make new things work. I said about innovation earlier. There's really no definite right or wrong choice between an MSc or an MBA. What matters is that you must think what would work better for you.
That's right. It's all about your life goals, the direction that you want your life to take. So let your ambition and necessities determine your higher education choice. Do not opt for a course just because others are joining it. Now, and do not end up studying something which would not be beneficial, in your career in the long run. And most importantly, choose a degree you think you would find joy and fulfillment doing it.
That's very important. So right now, you can consider, when you're working in your company, what exactly that you like? What are your passion? And with that, guide towards what exactly that you want to study. Because after comparing, the MBA and the MSc together with your passion, you will definitely need a good institution, a good school, to be able to work out the best arrangement for you. And MDIS is one of the well-established schools in Singapore since 1956, and very experienced in this area to upscale and also to improve your work skills.
That's right, formerly known as SAMTAS, which was the Supervisory and Management Training Association back in 1956. In fact, we have been contributing to the development of the nation since then. Today, we are set within a 3-hectare campus, at a cost of $35 million. And we boast not only different MBA or MSc programs, but one of the highlights of MDIS Singapore is also the practical training facilities that we have here to complement your learning journey, right? So yes, we have reached the end of today's presentation. And any final words, Dr. Richard?
Not forgetting, we offer part-time and full-time choices for MBA and MSc programs. Our team of education consultants provides sound and reliable advice on the best possible study path available and suitable for you, your qualifications and your preferences. And we hope to see you soon. And don't forget, go up to our website, look through our programs, and make your choice today.
Yep, and hope to see you soon. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you once again for joining us.